Hello, welcome to the Tracy Show. Happy Labor Day. Let me start let me start by saying what's been on my mind is the mass pow-powing of the Catholic school in Minneapolis. That just, I don't know, it just will not leave my mind. I keep thinking about the parents and, how they're doing and all that. And it brings me to the 4 little black girls, September 15th, 1963. September 15th will mark the 62nd anniversary that the 4 black girls were unalived in the bombing at the 16th Street Baptist Church in Birmingham, Alabama. And Martin Luther King marched and went to jail for that, wrote a letter from jail and everything. I don't know if you all know, but Martin Luther King's mom was also unalived in church. Let's not forget about the Emmanuel 9, which I will be doing a story about that as well. I don't see change. I don't see change. Little change, of course, but I don't see us going forward, especially now in these times. I don't see us going forward. It's like right now, during these times, I'm watching 1963 as a grown woman. Yeah. And it's crazy. I wasn't born in it. I'm not that old. But it feels like I'm there now. It feels like I'm there. And if you know me, you know that I love history, especially Black history. And on September 15th, 1963, the 3 letters that come after K of J. Yeah. They bombed the 16th Street Baptist Church, which unalived 4 little black girls and wounded one other, which was one of the girls who were unalived in that bombing. That was her sister. And also, I don't know if you know, but 2 boys were unalived as well. They were not in the church, but it had something to do with the church. And we're going to get into this because again, I'm not seeing change. I see us going backwards. I feel like Trump is pushing us back, and he wants us to go back as far as we possibly can. So stay woke. Stay woke. Like, share, subscribe, comment, hit the notification bell for whenever I do upload. Do that for me. Do that for me. My goal for September is 500 subscribers. It's not impossible. I hope I can get the 1,000 by, no, my goal is 1,000 subscribers by the end of the month. And we can do it, we can do it, we can do it. So let's get into, I call it the 4 little black girls. Let's go. Their names were Denise McNair, Carol Robertson, Cynthia Wesley, Addie Mae Collins, and Addie's sister, Sarah Jean Collins, who was blinded by the dynamite explosion. It was a quiet Sunday morning in Birmingham, Alabama, around 10:24 on September 15th, 1963, when a dynamite bomb exploded in the back stairwell of the downtown 16th Street Baptist Church. The violent blast ripped through the wall, unaliving 4 African American girls on the other side and injuring more than 20 inside the church. It was a clear act of racial hatred. The church was a key civil rights meeting place and had been a frequent target of bomb threats. Our Birmingham office launched an immediate investigation and wired the FBI director about the crime. FBI bomb experts raced to the scene via military jet. An additional dozen personnel from the offices were sent to assist Birmingham. At 10 p.m. that night, Assistant Director Al Rosen assured Assistant Attorney General Katzenbach that the Bureau considered this a most heinous offense. We had entered the investigation with no holds barred, and we backed the promise up. Dozens of FBI agents worked the case throughout September and October and into the New Year's. As many as 36 at one point. One internal memo noted that, and I quote, "We have practically torn Birmingham apart and have interviewed thousands of persons. We have seriously disrupted Klan activities by our pressure and interviews so that these organizations have lost members and support. We have made extensive use of the polygraph surveillances, microphone surveillances, and technical surveillances. By 1965, we had serious suspects, namely Robert E. Chambliss, Bobby Frank Cherry, Herman Frank Cash, and Thomas E. Blanton Jr., all KKK members, but witnesses were reluctant to talk and physical evidence was lacking. Also, at that time, information from our surveillances was not admissible in court. As a result, no federal charges were filed in the 60s. It has been claimed that Director Hoover held back evidence from prosecutors in the 60s or even tried to block prosecution. However, they say that that's not true. His concern was to prevent leaks, not to stifle justice. In one memo concerning a Justice Department prosecutor seeking information, he wrote, quote, "Haven't these reports already been furnished to the department?" In 1966, Hoover overruled his staff and made transcripts of wiretapes available to justice, and he couldn't have blocked the prosecution and didn't. He simply didn't think the evidence was there to convict. If you do agree with that, put a 1 in the comments for agree. Put 2 if you disagree. Let's keep going. Described by Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. as one of the most vicious and tragic crimes ever perpetrated against humanity, the explosion at the church unalived 4 girls and injured between 14 and 22 other people. Now, as I stated previously, Hoover was saying that there was not enough evidence. However, it was not until 1977, that the first suspect, Robert Chambliss, was prosecuted by Attorney General of Alabama, William Bill Baxley, and convicted of the first-degree murder of one of the victims. That was Carol Denise McNair. As part of an effort by state and federal prosecutors to reopen and try the cases involving the murder and domestic terrorism from the civil rights era, the state of Alabama placed both Blanton Jr. and Cherry on trial, who were each convicted of 4 counts of first-degree murder and sentenced to life imprisonment in 2001. So they didn't even get convicted until 2001. Yet this happened in 1963. Somebody, anybody, make that make sense. Future United States Senator Doug Jones successfully prosecuted Blanton and Cherry. Herman Cash died in 1994 and was never charged with his alleged involvement in the bombing. The 16th Street Baptist Church bombing marked a turning point in the United States during the Civil Rights Movement and also contributed to support the passage of the Civil Rights Act of 1964 by Congress. Let me tell you how severe this explosion was. The explosion blew a hole measuring 7 feet, 2.1 meters in diameter in the church's rear wall and a crater 5 feet wide and 2 feet deep in the ladies' basement lounge, destroying the rear steps to the church and blowing a passing motorist out of his car. Several other parked cars near the site of the blast were destroyed, and windows of properties located more than 2 blocks from the church were also damaged. All but one of the church's stained glass windows were destroyed in the explosion. The stained glass window, largely undamaged in the explosion, depicted Christ leading a group of children. That is so wild to me, that in all this debris and all this chaos and confusion, the one window that was not hugely destroyed was a picture of Christ leading children. That's crazy, but let's keep going. Hundreds of individuals, some of them lightly wounded, converged on the church, seemed to search the debris for survivors as police erected barricades around the church, and several outraged men scuffled with police. An estimated 2,000 black people converged on the scene in the hours following the explosion. The church's pastor, the Reverend John Cross Jr., attempted to placate the crowds by loudly reciting the 23rd Psalm through a bullhorn. 4 girls: Addie Mae Collins, age 14, born April 18, 1949. Carol Denise McNair, age 11, born November 17, 1951. Carol Rosamond Robertson, age 14, born April 24, 1949. And Cynthia Dion Wesley, age 14, born April 30th, 1949, were all unalived in the attack. The explosion was so intense that one of the girls' bodies was decapitated, and so badly mutilated that her body could be identified only through her clothing and a ring. Another victim was killed by a piece of mortar embedded in her skull. The pastor of the church, the Reverend John Cross, recollected that in 2001 that the girls' bodies were found stacked on top of each other, clung together. All four girls were pronounced dead on arrival at the Hillman Emergency Clinic. Violence escalated in Birmingham in the hours following the bombing, with reports of groups of black and white youth throwing bricks and shouting insults at each other. Police urged parents of black and white youths to keep their children indoors as the governor of Alabama, George Wallace, ordered an additional 300 state police and 500 Alabama National Guardsmen to assist in quelling this unrest. The Birmingham City Council convened an emergency meeting to propose safety measures for the city. Although proposals for a curfew were rejected, within 24 hours of the bombing, a minimum of 5 businesses and properties had been firebombed, and numerous cars, most of which were driven by whites, had been stoned by rioting youths. In response to the church bombing described by the mayor of Birmingham, Albert Boutwell, as just sickening, the Attorney General, Robert F. Kennedy, dispatched 25 FBI agents, including explosive experts, to Birmingham to conduct a thorough forensic investigation. Although reports of the bombing and the loss of 4 children's lives were glorified by white supremacists, who in many instances chose to celebrate the loss as 4 less niggers. As news of the church explosion reached national and international press, many felt that they had not taken the civil rights struggle seriously enough. The day following the bombing, a young white lawyer named Charles Morgan Jr. addressed a meeting of businessmen, condemning white people in Birmingham toward the oppression of blacks. In this speech, I quote, Morgan says, "Who did it? The bombing. We all did. The who is every little individual who talks about the niggers and spreads the seeds of hate to his neighbor and his son. What's it like living in Birmingham? No one ever really has known, and no one will until this city becomes part of the United States. The deaths, in a sense, are on the hands of each of us." 2 more black youths, Johnny Robinson and Virgil Ware, were shot to death in Birmingham within 7 hours of the Sunday morning bombing. Robinson, age 16, was shot in the back by Birmingham police officer Jack Parker as he fled down an alley after ignoring police orders to halt. The police were reportedly responding to black youths throwing rocks at cars driven by white people. Robinson died before reaching the hospital, where, age 13, was shot in the cheek and chest with a revolver in a residential suburb 15 miles north of the city. A 16-year-old boy white youth named Larry Sims fired the pow-pow given to him by another youth named Michael Farley at Ware, who was sitting on the handlebars of a bicycle ridden by his brother. The city of Birmingham initially offered $52,000 reward for the arrest of the bombers. Governor Wallace offered an additional $5,000 on behalf of the state of Alabama. Although this donation was accepted, Martin Luther King Jr. is known to have sent Wallace a telegram saying, "The blood of 4 little children is on your hands. Your irresponsible and misguided actions have created in Birmingham and Alabama the atmosphere that has induced continued violence and now murder." As I conclude this video, there are so many documentaries that you can watch on this story. There are so many books that you can read on this story. Please do it now. As you know, they are trying to erase our history. I will not let that happen on this channel. Not at all. I will not let that happen. Please don't forget to like, share this video, comment, subscribe, hit the notification bell for whenever I upload. And if you have heard of the 4 little black girls, let me know. Let me know your thoughts and opinions on this. Let me know if you see any changes now. Let me know if you see us going backwards. Because in my opinion, it seems like we're going back instead of forward. Stay woke, guys. Stay woke.